Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing another video today, and this video is about the allegations against Tarl Warwick, Styxhexenhammer666. And this is like the 5th time doing this fucking video, and I'm so sick of it. I'm driving home from work, and it's a traffic jam, but I'm doing a video anyway, so you should like maybe send me some money, and I'll be a grifter and stuff like certain people, like Styxhexenhammer. No, I'm just kidding. So this is my thought of Styxhexenhammer. I've been a fan since 2020. Got into him initially because watched his videos about the virus and other subjects too, like the occult and shit like that, and turn on the air conditioning. And I do like him. I watch a wide variety of commentators, you know, from various political stripes. I don't necessarily agree with them on everything. I like his take, though. I like his more libertarian bent on things. I'm not a libertarian. I'm definitely a leftoid, he would consider me, but I have some of those leanings and inclinations, you know. So, and I think he does actually have some left-wing inclinations that he sometimes mentions, but sometimes, depending probably on the audience, he also attacks. So it's kind of a hypocrite in that way sometimes. So, but nobody's perfect. But anyways, I've been into him for many years now, 4 years to be exact, probably around 4 years, exactly 4 years. I think I got into him in mid 2020, maybe a little earlier. So started watching him. I like his takes. We have a lot of the same interests, the occult and a lot of the movies and music and books and stuff, and just like the old school stuff. He was into LaVey. I like a lot of LaVey stuff. I mean, he used to be in LaVey. So anyways, I've been watching him for a while, and there is a lot of stuff that's you know, and I have my opinions on him. You know, I don't agree with his Trump takes, because I think he's he excuses Trump too much. Some people have Trump derangement syndrome, okay? I agree with that idea. But some people are in the opposite direction. He's apologizing for Trump way too much sometimes, in my opinion. Not as bad as some people, but still, nevertheless. So that's one thing that's a little cringe about him, is his, you know, undying dedication to Trump. Now, I don't like Kamala Harris either, of course, and I attack her periodically, so it's not like this is an unbalanced essay or whatever, editorial on things. So this is my thought on Styxhexenhammer. I think, and that all said, you know, I think that it's plausible that these accusations against him are real. Very plausible, in fact. Now, there is some background, and I do go to kiwi farms and stuff like that, and I read internet gossip, drama. I'm kind of fascinated by it, I'll be honest. Sometimes, like the whole Chris Chan thing, I was into, like, reading about that for a while, watching videos about that and shit. I've been into it for quite a long time, actually. You know, I was very into the Gamergate thing for a while too. So I'm very fascinated by these little these little things, you know, these little games that people play, I guess. So reading there is a woman that has made some accusations against Tarl Warwick. I didn't know what to think, but allegedly the woman that he had groped, even though he said it was his girlfriend in a recent live stream, then he took down the live stream and he seemed drunk, is allegedly that woman as well. So it's very strange, because 5 years ago she was making accusations and then got back together with him, which is not uncommon, that kind of thing happening, but it is a little bit odd. So this whole thing, and you know, this whole thing's just very interesting to me, like thinking about the dynamics of what may have happened. And for one, allegedly he's had problems with drugs and alcohol in the past. Specifically, it seems like alcohol, especially since it looks like his marriage kind of went on the rocks in February or so of this year. Seemed like things have been going kind of weird with some of his streams and some of his commentary and stuff like that. So I don't know the guy, of course, and I'm not going to accuse him of anything, but I'm saying that these accusations could be plausible, and I'll give a little bit of a reason why, and people might disagree. I don't think Elizabeth's philosophy, Liz, his maybe is his ex-wife now, we don't know, is as capable of any kind of false accusation, or the opposite, like putting up with too much stuff. She seems, from what I've seen, she has a rational take on things that seems like she would actually not put up with too much bullshit, and at the same time, conversely, not like falsely accuse him of anything. So that's my opinion about her, just from what I've seen and them together and stuff. Of course, do not assume anything. I get a vibe. I get vibes. I think about vibes. I'm sure he does too, about vibe. You know, people get vibes, right? Of course, his vibes would be attributed to Stolas. He's his chosen god or whatever, demon or whatever. But you know, nevertheless. So this whole thing with these accusations and getting arrested in New Orleans, he calls it. This is what I think about it. So that said about Elizabeth's philosophy, I think whoever this person is, if it's the same girl in this live stream or on Kiwi Farms, I don't know. That's just been alleged, so we don't know. But if it is, even if it isn't, who would he attract? Who would he be going out with? More than likely, a woman that he would be going out with would not be a leftoid, quote unquote, as he's called it. Of course, he is more left-wing than he gives credit for sometimes, and he even goes back and forth, vacillates between attacking people that are on the left and then admitting that he has left-wing opinions, or that he likes some of the old left, or how they were pre-Obama years, which I would agree with to some extent as well. Because a lot of them are into censorship, and a lot of them are into warmongering and shit like that, and I agree with that completely. So this whole notion that he would date a leftoid is pretty slim. So this is what I think, and this is why I think they're plausible accusations, as far as like the worst we could think of, maybe. And I'm not sure, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to accuse him of anything. I'm just saying it's likelihoods we're dealing with. So this is how I see it. I think a left-leaning woman would maybe not exaggerate, but like accuse someone of doing something if they did it once, or if they did it not in an extreme fashion, because they're so Me Too'd, and you know, they're so into that stuff. Like, oh my God, he did this. Oh my God, you know, the leftoid woman will be more, or not more, less forgiving of, you know, slights and, you know, stuff like that, or some type of violence or threats of violence, right? So if he's accused of domestic battery or whatever, regardless of how you interpret the law in Louisiana or whatever. So it's unlikely to me that he would be dating such a woman in the first place. So my second hypothesis about how this whole thing operates is that the right-wing woman that you would date would be the opposite, right? Not necessarily, but they would be like, they'd put up with so much stuff. Oh yeah, he was just teasing, blah, blah, blah. That you would have to be really fucking crazy and bad to be accused of something with a right-wing woman, because it's like they put up with a lot of stuff. They're not going to like take words. Oh shit, what the hell? Words like as literally. They're not going to, in today's climate, in today's culture. I'm not saying throughout time, but right now, what we're dealing with. So and more than likely is at least dating a libertarian, if not a right-wing woman. That's my thought. So I think it's very likely that the stuff that went down was pretty bad. Now, I was arguing with someone that said, well, you don't know what it's like to be in jail and get bailed out because, well, let's just say this. He could have called, okay, so the whole argument was he has a six-figure income. Why did he get the quartering to bail him out with $7,000 or whatever? $7,000 is a lot of money, by the way. Especially for Louisiana, where that kind of, you know, they're not exactly the most liberal state, you know, like for that kind of stuff. Like I said, like, I don't know. It's just weird. So to me, getting bailed out means that someone, and he says he's going to pay him back with live streams. And just the way he was wording it was like, do you really have a six-figure? It just didn't sound like he had a six-figure income. Like, it doesn't sound like he has all that money. someone responded to me, said he spent it all. I was like, what? I don't think he spent it all. But it's like, if you're a famous internet celebrity and you have some money, shouldn't you, like, oh yeah, well, maybe Quartering paid him, he'll just pay him back right away, right? Because they'll have the money. It didn't make a lot of sense. Like, the explanation didn't make a lot of sense for that. So to me, it was kind of pathetic, actually, too. And the whole idea that he would have someone else, another internet celebrity, help him be bailed out is kind of pathetic. Like, I thought that was just kind of silly. Like, it just seems a little strange to me. Nope, I'm going, dude. These people downtown are running in front of cars and stuff, so we gotta be careful down here. I'm taking this way home. I used to take a different way home, but anyways, nobody cares. Who gives a fuck? There's a lot of traffic jams in this town nowadays because they're gentrifying the fuck out of the city. So this whole thing, that's how I view it. I think he has a lot of problems. He's gone off the deep end several times this year, I believe. The Twitter stuff and just a lot of the drama that's plausibly true on Kiwi Farm. Some of it could be false, and a lot of it could be, all of it could be, I don't know. More than likely not, though. The likelihood is, there's stuff that's been backed up by evidence on Kiwi Farm. So, but, some of it could be false. Some of it could be exaggerated, whatever. So, I think more than likely he did do something pretty bad. Is he cancelable? I mean, can you cancel an edgelord? Can you really cancel a fucking edgelord? I don't know. There's some other guy, Nick something. I don't even know all these people names that he was compared to. Rita's or something. There's some guy. I don't know all these guys, by the way. He's been compared to, like, downward spiraling like that guy. Now, one thing that did bother me about some of the commentary about him, by the way, I do like Styxhexenhammer. Like I said, I do find his takes entertaining. I have watched him for a long time. It's one of my things I watch a lot, even though he probably would hate that I actually enjoy a leftoid actually enjoys him. That might actually piss him off. Who knows? Maybe that'd be cool. I don't know. But the whole thing, I forgot the guy's name. I don't know all these. There's some people that he was compared to that I don't know who they are. I've never watched them. So, I know what a lol cow is. I know Chris Chan or some of the other guys are Boogie, whatever the hell is. There's these people. I know Chris Chan because I bought the book that he wrote and stuff, and I watched a lot of videos about him. So he could be a lol cow. We can call him that, or he's downward spiraling into some bullshit. So, anyways, enough about all this YouTube lingo. I don't really care. But anyway. The whole thing, I mean, you can't really cancel Styxhexenhammer, but one of the things that bothered me is these Christian conservatives. He obviously attracts some of those people. He placates some of these right-wingers, even though he's probably not in agreement with them on a lot of stuff, like abortion, for example. He placates them by being, like, kind of posing as a right-wing guy a little bit more sometimes during videos. And then he'll do another video where he's like, I was on food stamps, and food stamps were great, and I support them. That's about all. Peace out. It's like he's kind of playing both sides sometimes. I think he really is more left-leaning or liberal, whatever you want to call it, than he puts on sometimes. He's like a Trump-supporting hippie, which doesn't make any fucking sense, honestly, in some ways. So, and I know the parties are switching. I think that's the case and stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think we're going through a party switch and an ideological shift in our country that's really awkward and tumultuous right now with both parties. Like, one party will support abortion but then want to bomb people, and one will be anti-abortion but also want more peace in the Middle East, which used to be the opposite. They're switching sides on a lot of different stuff. It's really strange. I'm not saying the party. I was just saying a politician might want that. Of course, and with Israel, they're both in the pockets of Israel, both parties. One maybe less than the other, depending. So, I don't want to get into politics in this video. I always get into politics, but anyways, it's kind of annoying. So with this whole thing with Styxhexenhammer, is he a grifter? That's the question that people have said. I think everybody's a grifter, and everybody is shaped by their audience. Like, I'm not, because I don't have enough of a following. Like, if I had 900,000 I almost have 900, right? If I had 900,000 people watching my videos, God damn, that would be fucking awesome, of course. But I would not have to work, probably, if I had enough other shit going on with that. Or because of that, I should say. So if I had 900,000, would I be influenced by my audience? Absolutely. Do I think he's a grifter? I think on some level he is somewhat of a grifter. If you want to break down his beliefs, he's probably not as gun-ho about some of the stuff he says. I don't know about the gun thing. It's really strange. His whole, like, thing, you should have grenade launchers and shit, you know, on the streets. I don't know. I don't know what I'm agnostic about gun stuff anyways. I'm kind of like, the last 5 years have really kind of shifted my views on guns, because the government could just come in and tell you you can't fucking go outside. And regardless of how bad the Kufajamama was, the virus, regardless of how bad it was, I never thought that they could do that, but they can. So that scares me. And I think as a bulwark, it doesn't mean you're going to survive a tank hitting your house with an AR-15. As a bulwark against tyranny, because at least it'll make it a little harder for them. Maybe guns, maybe I'm pro-gun because of that. So, I don't know. And I think people had worse guns at different times in history where there weren't as many shootings. And I might do a video about this too. Crime has really gone down in our country over the last 20, 30 years. People don't want to talk about this. The right doesn't want to talk about it because they think crime has risen since 2020 a little bit. Various reasons. Being locked down in your home makes you bored and makes your mind, want to do all sorts of crazy shit. That's my opinion about some of that. So, I mean, back, why crime rose. And crime has risen in, like, Portland and stuff. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But you look at New York City's crime in the past 30 years, and it's like, there used to be, like, thousands a year, There were some cities that had three or four, like 2,000 to 4,000 a year murders. Now it's like 200 or 300 a year, and maybe it rose a little bit to 350 at one point or whatever. But it's like, people want to talk about, liberals want to talk about mass shootings. And okay, there's more mass shootings, if you want to call them that, because the media talks about them. And there's guns, and they're in weird places. That's why. See, if they weren't in weird places where there were a lot of richer white people, I'm just saying, being honest, and it was all in the ghetto and stuff, a lot of people wouldn't give a shit. That's the sad fact of the reality. Just like when there was a missing woman, I hate this term, but a missing woman of color in the 90s, like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of them. Oh, a missing hot white girl. We're going to talk about Natalie Holloway all day, right? Rich white girl goes missing, people fucking care, right? That's just the way our society is, and it's really sick in some ways. Because I'm sure a lot of the women of color that went missing were hot too. That's just kind of a joke, but I'm sure they were, actually. So this is the whole thing. It's racism, basically, is what I'm saying, in a certain way, unconscious, whatever, bias, whatever. So this whole thing with where was I going with that fucking? So yeah, I think he's more liberal than he puts on. I think he is a grifter to some extent. I don't know what I think it's a spectrum of grift. I'm not a grifter because I don't make any money from this shit, so I don't have anything to lose. So I just say whatever the hell I want. If you're in that position, you probably do. It does influence you a little bit unconsciously. Not everything's conscious all the time, So he is more. He just tries to shape this, like, Trump placating his right-wing audience. He doesn't go too far and doesn't go into, like, Christian conservative realm, thank God. But he might play it up a little bit sometimes and then play it down in other videos. Is one. My point is, oh, that's an awesome car. It's a Corvette up ahead. I want that car. It's white. I like white cars. It doesn't mean anything with, like, being racist or something. I'm just saying, like, I like white cars. I like white guitars. I like purple guitars too. So I don't know. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't care. So anyways, this whole issue with Styxhexenhammer, and people are probably pissed at this point in this video. They probably turned it off. And that's fine. the whole point is that I think he likely did something fucked up. And he is somewhat of a grifter, but I still like him to some extent. Now, if he did something really bad, would I keep watching him? That's the question. I don't know. I'd give him a little time, maybe. I don't know. You know, the thing is, as we get closer to the election, I find some of his takes, and people have said that some of his takes recently, like, just kind of repeats itself. He doesn't have a lot of hot takes, quote unquote, you know. A lot of the stuff he's talked about lately has been kind of cringe, you know. And he's been a little bit more, and it's just a little bit harder to deal with. And I just get sick of it. I get sick of the Trump ball gargling that he does sometimes. And like I said, I don't think he's, or I don't know if I said this in this edition of this video, but like I said, or like I said in other videos, maybe that aren't going to be posted. She was cute. Some waitress I just saw. So, like I said in the previous unpublished editions of this video, you know, I think he plays it up a little bit, at least. You gotta say he plays up the Trump thing, but it gets really cringe. It's like anything, you know, like for example, like the whole thing with first term Reagan. It's like he's obsessed with first term Reagan. He likes the 80s. I get it. He loves the 80s. He loves the vibes that were around back then, even though he wasn't alive for most of the 80s. I understand that, right? I lived in the 80s. I'm old enough to actually have lived through the entire 80s. It's kind of scary. But he likes the 80s. He likes Reagan. Now, Reagan would not agree with half the shit that he is for, like drug decriminalization, for one. Even in 1980, even first-term Reagan. Ron Paul hated a lot of things about Reagan, really was rebelling against Ronald Reagan for a long time. Foreign policy-wise, supporting death squads in Central America, raping nuns. The list is endless, just a lot of the stuff. Okay, some of the deregulation, maybe he would agree with, maybe Ron Paul. Ron Paul didn't think it went far enough and hated the deficit. I know all about Ron Paul's record in the 80s, like what he was about. Some of it was questionable, too, for other reasons, of course, that has been mentioned ad infinitum. But, nevertheless, I don't think Styxhexenhammer's worship of first-term Reagan, but Trump would be like back to first-term. I understand what he's trying to say, and he's probably right about, like, the impact of what Trump being reelected would be like first-term Reagan. Okay, fine. But his like, fawning over the first-term Reagan thing, I don't think he would fawn over all that stuff. I don't think he really likes Jerry Falwell being in the White House or wherever the fuck. I think it's really stupid and misguided for him to talk about that. Since he has no other context to talk about politicians that have been in power, he has to go to that. And it placates his audience. That's a mixture of edgelord libertarians and actual right-wing conservatives and Christian conservatives as well, who don't like his 666 and they pray that one day he'll find Jesus. And then they go on these other forums or these other comments and say, oh, well, it's because he's polyamorous, which we don't know. I'm defending him a little bit here too, so just keep in mind, he's polyamorous, or he's a occult. That's why anybody that's in the occult is asking for trouble. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like plenty of people are in the occult, they don't do anything wrong. Everybody's into the occult, and to some extent, you know, if you consider a lot of, you know, the occult is like your thoughts go a certain way and stuff like that. Everybody does the occult. Everybody does. The occult is everything, pretty much, you know. Positive thinking is the occult in a certain way, you know. Crossing your fingers is the fucking occult to win something, you know. So that's bullshit. Anyways, and I hate that element of his audience that is like turning on him for this reason. But yeah, I do think that he probably likely did some fucked up shit, which he'll have to pay for. Just based on a lot of different things, he likely did. Like I said, with the right-wing thing, right-wing woman will not put up, or alternately, like, put up with more, like, simple stuff, you know. Oh, yeah, he slapped me a little hard in the S&M play or something, right? It was a little weird, but, you know, whatever. But I think like a leftoid, like politically correct woke woman would put up with less of that stuff and be like, oh my God, domestic violence, you know? Whereas a right-wing woman would not. A right-wing woman might actually tolerate it. I mean, this sounds like very generalized things. Might actually tolerate abuse, actual abuse, and I would probably find bad too. But who knows? The thing is, a right-wing woman will be less ideologically driven with regards to that subject, is my point. That's what I've been trying to say for 20 minutes. But, so, therefore, the accusations are more plausible, in my opinion. That's all. That's really all I'm saying with that. This ridiculous video. But I don't know how many views we'll get. I don't really care. But yeah, this is my opinion about Styxhexenhammer Tarl Warwick. I hope he didn't do what he did. I hope he's found innocent. I do like him as a commentator. I've been following him for a long time. I think he's cringing sometimes, like I said, with the Reagan fawning, the Trump apologetics at times. I mean, I understand where, you know, if someone said, yeah, lesser of two evils, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But yeah. And like, if anybody fawned over Kamala too, Kamala, whatever, I'd hate it too, because I hate that. I actually hate it worse because I'm in a town full of those people. So anyways, that's about all. Peace out.